Hi everyone, welcome to this session of our web series, Fireside Chat with Champions, in which we interview global business leaders, asking them crowdsourced questions on something which is very relevant today, COVID-19 and its impact on business and society, and also the ways we can steer ourselves clear of these uncertainties. Today we have a very special guest with us, Veronique De Bruijn, CEO of Photanol. Photanol is a young, dynamic, and ambitious company with a breakthrough circular carbon chemical production platform to turn CO2 directly into valuable chemicals. Photanol collaborates intensely with upstream and downstream partners and technology providers to turn its breakthrough R&D accomplishments into valuable commercial reality. Veronique is an experienced professional with demonstrated history of working in renewables and environment industry. She is skilled in venture capital, mergers and acquisition, private equity, financial modeling, and financial structuring. She has a proven track record in closing strategic partnerships, joint development agreements, as well as raising capital for growth. Graduated MSc from Delft University of Technology and MBA from Rotterdam School of Management, Erasmus University. She is also World Economic Forum Honor Technology Pioneer. Thanks, Veronique, for accepting our invitation. I would request you to let our viewers know a little bit more about you and your current interests and activities. Floor is yours, Veronique.
Well, thank you so much for all the nice words. It is great to be here. I'm honored and very happy. It's a very broad question, but there's lots of things going on. One of the things that you just mentioned was strategic partnerships. We just closed a very big one for our company, which is great news because we will be developing another product line leading to a more circular future. It is a massive, big market. It will be a circular, renewable form of plastic, and we are immensely happy. And it's a bit weird in these times to actually get to a close on such a thing, but it highlights that a lot of companies and people are so much more aware due to whatever is happening right now that we really need to make a shift in the way we do things. So we are immensely happy that we are going to step forward with almost twice the budget that we had so far.
That's awesome. Veronique, I would also like to understand a little bit more about the activities of your company, because converting CO2 of something which is immediately usable for us is what the world needs today, right? We are talking about
Yes.
The climate change, and one of the biggest proponent of climate change is actually what we are emitting in our atmosphere, right? And you are trying to solve that problem. So what are the activities you believe, like, your company is doing is going to help in those directions?
Yes, well, we use CO2 as a resource or as a feedstock to make a broad range of carbon chemicals, which are now currently made from fossil oil. So it is a huge step and a huge change if we start using CO2 to make actually exactly the same products without digging for oil, without exhausting and wasting stuff on the planet. So we are actually using the CO2 and reducing the levels of CO2 sent in the atmosphere to still continue to be able to produce all the base materials that society needs and currently uses. And it ranges from fuels to food ingredients, and we are currently focused on plastics, but it can be applied way broader than that.
Awesome, and thank you for doing something which the humankind would be thankful that you are doing it. So that's a great activity. So Veronique, that brings us to the first question. That actually when we talk about COVID, right, we have seen that because of the lockdown, the environment has become better, right? You have a beautiful, nice, I'll say that morning walk without the fog and without all the, some negativity of the pollutions. I would like to understand from you that because of COVID, do you see that there would be impact on the clean tech environment as such? And what are your views going forward? Do you think we'll continue doing the way we used to do before COVID, or there would be some structural changes in our mindset with the concept of circular industry coming in?
Yes, well, I think for sure, I think and hope for sure that there will be structural changes, and there will be structural changes in the way we work and the way we actually go about organizing our society. So that is a broad impact. It's about a more integrated way of living also, where you don't commute as much to work. People really were forced to get used to work away from one central office, right? And to connect through media, just like we are now talking as well. And then that's a huge thing. It is on a smaller regional scale. It's a huge thing because there's less people traveling by car and less traffic jam, less exhaust, etc. But also on a global scale, the fact that you are in India and I'm here, we are having this conversation, is become really very common to do so, right? And it works very well. Initially, I was a bit hesitant on connecting for the first time, right? We are also raising money. Any startup scale up is always raising money, so there is nothing new. But now doing that without being face to face, I always would have answered this question saying it's impossible to do without being face to face. But I have learned now that it's not the case, and you can actually sit down and have a very good meeting and connect to each other without having to travel, which is going to change the society immensely, I think. So that, and also for our team, we really had to now find a way to stay connected to each other. So I have several initiatives to do the bonding with my team. So really the teamwork to keep them together as one motivated tribe, and that's worked out very well. So I think there's fundamental things that are changing now, and yeah, the outside world, there is an increased urgency or awareness on having to change the planet for the good, right? To make, in my field, to make use of resources in a circular way. And that is a big, big thing. And there is really a change happening. And the contract that we just signed is actually proving this fact.
No, that's very rightly articulate, that actually we'll have to find as a human race the ways forward so that we are able to work with whatever the challenges we are having. So, Veronique, as you said that, raising funds and all the startup need to raise funds, need to find revenues, and you have been lucky enough to get contracts, and you're also doing good when it's about raising funds. According to you, what are the challenges for the startup ecosystem during COVID time, especially those startups like you, which are working in deep tech and the technology-centric startups, where R&D costs and R&D become very critical? Do you think there is appetite for investors to still invest in long-term activities like yours?
Yeah, it is difficult because the market did come to a standstill, really. Both the strategic partners, in companies like ours with indeed deep tech and large investments towards commercialization, it is always a hand-in-hand act with the strategic partners and venture money. So, and both of these markets, so the strategic partners, they are very much focused on getting their core business right, or some of them even changing their core business, because this company that we are now teaming up with, they really managed to step in a couple of months to step to productions of breathing equipment, maintaining their business, right? So there's a lot of innovation going on inside these companies, and that makes them put on a hold or on a very slow track trajectories with companies like ours. So there's a slowdown on the business development side. And the financial market, there is a lot of money, and everybody's talking about the amount of money and having difficulties finding the right companies. But also they are hesitant because they don't know what's coming. Neither do we, but the fact that there's a higher risk out there, not necessarily connected to our technology, makes that they are more reluctant. They also have to get used to connecting to companies like ours through all new media and how to organize their processes accordingly. So it is on both sides slowing. As a response to that, national and European governments have allocated funds to bridge that gap. So to bridge the gap in the market failure, so to say, right? To help companies survive and cross this, have a longer runway to close new rounds. And that, I think, is a very adequate way of responding. It is, I can see in detail the European market, right? And Northern European as such as well. I don't know exactly what is going on in Asia. I'm quite interested actually to hear from you, but yeah, so that's what's happening here. And well, we will see, but it's not bad. I think it is in the right direction.
Perfect. No, Asia is not even close to what you are doing to support the SMEs and startups in Europe, because we are still in, like I'm saying, that onslaught of COVID with the cases rising, and then actually government is to focus to allocate the money, which limited they're having, because most of the countries except Japan and a little bit of China are all developing countries, right? So the resources are limited, and those resources need to be currently pushed for healthcare and saving lives. Livelihood, they believe they can take it in the next stage. So let's see how it happens. So Veronique, now let me come a little bit closer to you as an individual. COVID has been a challenge, which has been a mental pressure for I'll say that executive like you used to travel a lot, interact with a lot of people, and as a CEO, we always believe in that human touch, right? Shaking hands, hugging people, and creating those contacts. At the same time, being a woman, actually, it's also staying home with all the family and right, becomes a challenge. I would like to understand from you, for the benefit of our audience, how you as an individual have coped up with the challenge, both on the business level, on financial level, as well as on a mental level as a person.
Oh, what an interesting question! Wow. Yes, indeed, it was / is a challenge, but the fact that I refer to it as is that I kind of found a way around it, which works for me, right? I have three. So one of the bigger challenges was combining work, which is which is demanding, with three kids that are in secondary school, and they need also some guidance and help, one more than the other. So it was kind of a challenge to have three teenagers at home trying to work at the same time, having these in conversations like this. So honestly, we have a way around it, working around it, where we initially thought to have this one office, and then we have a large table it's just physical space. That was the issue. So sometimes I retreated in my shed in the garden to have a serious conversation on work, just to have a quiet zone in my surroundings. That was something we had to find a modus, a way of working in, which ultimately it went fine. I think it was a really good time for the kids also. They learned a lot, and actually so did I, because I got back to the basics of math again, and I had to go through all of my but so on the one hand, it was the challenge of managing a family and maintaining my business, because the business did have a lot of constraints operating. We have a lab which ultimately didn't allow everybody to be operational, so we had to find ways also to get that done. So it was a highly demanding phase also for the work. And socially, it also made me realize how important it is to literally take care also of your neighbors. So I live in just an average street with some elderly people living around me. Some of their kids, they live far away, so they were on their own and also very lonely. So we organized a very practical group app just to take care of these people in our street, so that the younger, more fitter families took care of these elderly people, which is a very nice and loving thing to do. So it also forced me to, as a person, just really very individually, to get out of my head, and my goal-oriented running, because this business, this is the environment we all the tech pioneers live in. It's always running, and this really forced me to stop running, and that, I think, is a very important thing. And I'm trying to keep, now the world starts turning again here. I'm trying to keep close to that little bit of peace inside me, which I think is very valuable also for my business. But you need to have a very strong system and make planning to still reserve time to do, for example, one of the things that I started practicing was really doing a daily meditation or two, which wasn't common practice for me. I did do that in the tougher days, just to give me peace and quiet, and I'm really appreciating that. So I'm trying to stick to that. But that's a really personal thing that it made me realize there's more than running.
That's awesome, actually. Like, that is what audience want to hear from a strong person like you, that how you have coped so that they can also learn from it. So thanks a lot, Veronique, for sharing the very, very insightful way of handling such a stress. Because we all work in environment which is like very, very hectic, stressful, but getting our, I'll say that mojo back by being resetting for some time has been a helpful thing for me as well. Now that brings the last section of the discussion, which is actually, we are looking for silver bullet advices from you for the startup who would be in middle of this pandemic and they don't know what to do. So what would be your advice so that they can stay afloat, and when things start recovering, they still survive and they can become businesses like you and me?
I would say, well, but that again is personal, right? How you best. So the most important thing is listen to your intuition, listen to your gut feel. Go and sit down and really, really, really listen to all the levels that you have inside you, because it's not only your head. Your head is a very intellectual, very strong tool, but really it's not the only compass you have. So that is the number one thing. This whole phase made me realize that for me most essential, and I realized that already some earlier times in my life, actually mostly in a couple of mild crises, I keep forgetting again. It's pretty stupid, but I keep forgetting, start running again. For me, it's very essential to connect to people that I can relate to. But that are just a little bit further down the path that I'm actually trying to go, or the way that I'm trying to go. So I would say, do connect to people that you think are 5 years, for example, down the road, and you just want to learn from them. You want to share your experiences, your frustrations, your fears, your everything, and they will be able to shine a light on your way, and they will be able also to make you avoid or try to avoid pitfalls that they went through, so you don't have to go through the same experiences. And that for me is extremely helpful. So if I really don't know where to go, or if I don't see which side to take, then I will ring up I have just only 2-3 people, then I ring them up and I explain. It's about being vulnerable as well, right? So I explain to them, God, I need your help, because I really don't see how to guide my company or how to take it further. And then I come out with a clear vision again, and then I can again go to my team, help them out, lead the way, etc., etc. So, but that is such a personal side also. So everybody has to go and sit down and find what it is for you that helps you. And if I can be of help to anybody, then send me a message and I'll try and help.
No, that is what I'm doing. Actually, I'm talking to people who are far more intelligent than me, like you, to learn from you, all of you, and my audience to learn from you. So, Veronique, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks a lot. Great advice. Very crisp, and I got I'll say that better off after the discussion. I know a little bit more about how to handle the stress because of COVID and how to be a better entrepreneur. So thanks a lot for your time, and pleasure talking to you and having you on our show.
Well, thank you so much too. Thank you.
Take
It
care.
was a
Bye.
pleasure.
Stay
Take
safe.
care.
Thank you. Yeah.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.